Hi, let's speak about home theme from Undertale game today. My subscriber has asked me to do some analysis, and there is a lot of going on in this piece. First of all, home theme is the one that is used throughout the game. We can find it in Once Upon a Time, Hotel, the track that is named Undertale, so as in the home. Let me remind you how it sounds in Once Upon a Time. Very interesting melody, C, C, G, F, C, C. As in the home, but a bit different. But what makes home such an interesting piece? Well, first of all, the rhythm, how notes are positioned in time. When you learn music, you are taught to divide time on equal parts, by 2 or 3 for example. But in home it is a bit more complicated. At first it looks like swing. This is a rhythm, in the simplest case, that tells us to divide time on 3 and to play on first and third beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A lot of guys on YouTube plays home like this. That's okay, but in the original track, despite the rhythm sounds rather like swing, it has some randomness in it. And to play it like this is a bit harder than it seems, because we were taught to play equally spaced notes. One of my teachers told me once that you are a professional when you can play like a beginner. It's for you to decide, is my version of home random enough? But I clearly remember that while I was rehearsing this piece, my head told me that sometimes it wasn't a random rhythm, but just more complex, concrete rhythm than a straightforward swing. And it's very interesting to play it with such feeling of randomness. And what kind of feeling does this rhythm create? For me, it's like a man who finally arrived at his home and perceives things as in the first time. And familiar rhythms of everyday life are receding into the background. Again, it's like a fairy tale feeling of home. Now let's talk about voicing. Voice is a bunch of notes which have a similar role. For example, we may hear up to 3 voices in the home intro. Let me play it for you, and I will emphasize bass and the first string, not even thinking which notes I perform. So we'll hear 3 independent stories. Another aspect is how melody evolves in equal, at first glance, episodes. If we listen to the first phrases in the main theme, we can hear that their beginnings are slightly different. The common music usually has different endings of parts. By the way, it's hard to remember all of the differences in similar phrases. Let's compare both episodes. The first one. And the second one. There is also a difference between 37th and 45th measures. Initially we have A note, which follows by G in the middle voice, in the first phrase of the second main part. But in the second phrase, the A note is left till the end of phrase. It's very beautiful. Let's listen to it. And in the second phrase, and finally, everlasting chords in the final part. And again, they have very unusual duration. I even have to import this track in my musical software to see if they have a certain musical length. It turned out to be rather random, so don't pay much attention to the note's duration in the score. Secondly, we constantly feel that this chord is the last one, but we are mistaken every time, especially when we reach the first inversion of tonic chord. But and in the end we have first and 2/5 of tonic chord, which is rather unusual, no third at all. It's like a child was picking the chords notes. So all in all, home track for me is connected with miracle and childishness. Leave your thoughts and share your feelings in the comments. See you.